Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a very special treat. This, as you can see, is Moonwalker. It's Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. It's a game based off of that movie that he did. Now, a lot of people forget about that movie, probably because you should forget about that movie. No, okay, I'm going to take that back. I actually kind of like it. It has some redeeming qualities. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about here, Michael Jackson released a movie back in 1988, simply entitled Moonwalker, which I used to get confused with the title of Moonraker. Don't ask me how I got those two confused. That's not important at all. What is there to say about the Moonwalker movie? Go watch it. There's dancing, there's kids, there's crotch grabbing. There's a lot of stuff. That's really, I don't know. I guess that's all I can say about it. Then there was a video game made, and I personally have fond memories of this game because I used to go play it in my local arcade. I would go down to Aladdin's Castle and I would play this game, which would allow 1 to 3 players, which is something that's kind of odd to me because you would usually think, 1 player, 2 player, 4 player games. They don't really ever think of just 3 player games a lot. But this one, for some reason, was 3 players. Though I've heard rumor that apparently there are arcade cabinet versions of this game that are only 2 players. So whatever. But why do I like this game so much? And why did Dwight and Stinson and I decide to sit down and beat the entire game? It's just fun. It's a fun beat 'em up. And I know a lot of people don't like to call it a beat 'em up because you technically are shooting dance magic out of your hands. I'm not making that up, by the way. That's something that Guide refers to it as dance magic. But this was originally a game that was made, I believe, by Sega. I know it was ported to the Sega consoles. I'm sorry, it wasn't ported. There was a different version made for the Sega console, from what I hear. I hear the gameplay is different. And there were PC versions of this, but the arcade version is the one I want to focus on because it's the one I always remember playing. And one of the reasons I liked it is it wasn't as fun. I mean, you got to just go around and shoot people with lightning and do different things. But you could beat this game, pretty easy if you had a $5 bill in your pocket. Unless you just really sucked, you could beat this or The Simpsons or something. It was a fun, easy, beat 'em up game. And I don't know, I always liked, that was one way I'd go make friends at the arcade, is just jumping on a game of this or Simpsons or Ninja Turtles with a guy and we'd start talking about it or whatever, I will say this, I remember getting my ass beat by a girl at Soul Calibur one time, and I think it was after that I stopped enjoying playing games with other people. That's when I got a console. Maybe. I can't remember. This game had several problems, and one of the reasons why it's harder to find the motherboard for these is, for a little while, a lot of the Sega cabinets had something called a suicide battery. It wasn't intentional, and, I know they eventually fixed it, but what it was, kind of as the name implies, after the battery would run out, there would be a malfunction with it, and sometimes it would actually mess up the motherboard. So a lot of the motherboards for this game actually just weren't reusable after a certain amount of time. This game kind of sticks in my head also, I'll admit, because I like Michael Jackson's music. I have an ongoing joke with a couple of friends about how underrated Michael Jackson is. It's not as funny if you're not there, but I'm gonna make you suffer through it anyway. But you have synthesized versions of Michael Jackson's kind of his top songs. Mostly they're just different versions of Beat It and Smooth Criminal, and I believe if you beat the game in under a certain amount of time or something like that, Billie Jean plays at the end. I don't know, the synthesized versions, man, they get stuck in my head so easily. If you don't know the plot of this, there's a guy named Mr. Big who in the movie is depicted kind of as this fat, greedy, just rich slob who has a robot. Yeah, how can I forget that part? And did I forget to mention that Michael Jackson turns into a robot to save the kids that Mr. Big kidnaps? There's a lot going on in that movie, and they really just took that and, extended it to make the game with some pretty awesome scenes and some decent looking levels. There's a monkey, which is Michael Jackson's actual pet monkey, Bubbles, and if you can catch him on the screen here, it gives you a power up and turns Michael into a robot. And he also has kind of like a bomb maneuver, an area of effect maneuver that goes back to this whole dance magic thing, where he actually makes bad guys dance themselves to death. It's kind of depressing. I don't know why they did that, but it was cool, you know, and it was an easy way to beat the game, because even though the bosses didn't dance, that's what they did. They you know, danced them. They would deal them damage. I don't know. I like the idea of somebody dancing themselves to death. Overall, I really enjoy the game. Like I said, the music's good, the art's good. It's 3 players, so you know we enjoy. I sat down, like I said, with a couple people, and we enjoyed just beating the game and talking about it, and the random screen motions and Michael's. Some of these cutscenes in between. It's got a charm to it. Like, I've actually heard that this game has kind of reached a kind of a cult status in some areas, and I don't know if I agree with that, just because, you know, it's good and it's fun, but it's more, the charm is there because of how weird it is, which kind of sums up Michael Jackson's life, I guess. I don't know about him rescuing the kids and all. It's just, I don't know. It's even weirder if you've seen the movie with that whole scene where he just kind of goes nuts on top of the car, grabbing his crotch and screaming, and glass is exploding everywhere. I guess what I'm trying to say here is you should play this game if you haven't. Get a couple friends. You can find it in the arcade, or you can find one of the console versions, or do what I did and just emulate it, because you just have to see it. Anyway, overall, definite recommend from me. And I know I keep hearing people saying that they hadn't heard of this game before, so that's why I'm making this video. Everyone needs to know that this exists. It's just kind of a